Hello and greetings from Poland. My name is Grzegorz Osipowicz and the title of my speech is Wooden Sleeves from Subneolithic Sites in Šventoji, Lithuania. What was the function? This presentation was to summarize our traceological studies on the function of these fascinating wooden artifacts from the sites in Šventoji, Lithuania. However, traceological studies of wooden products turn out to be more difficult than we thought, and the problem of sleeves from Šventoji requires more extensive research. Additionally, we have received funding for an international research project that is also researching the function of these artifacts. It allows for conducting more precise and multifaceted studies in this area than previously planned. For this reason, we will not present final answers to questions about using these objects in this presentation. We will only tell you about the experiments conducted so far and the first results of microscopic analysis. Instead, we will present the assumption of the aforementioned research project in which experimental archaeology plays a key role. The complex of sites at Šventoji, Lithuania, was discovered in 1966 during irrigation works carried out at the region. Human occupation phases at different sites were C14 dated to different periods. However, all of the artifacts discussed here come from the sites dated Subneolithic, the period between 3200 and 2500 Cal BC. These sites were interpreted as habitation sites, refuse layers, fishing stations, and possibly pile-dwelling settlements. Excavations carried out at the sites in Šventoji led to collect a rich number of artifacts from organic raw materials, a large part of which were various types of wooden products. Here you can see the examples of wooden artifacts discovered in Šventoji, like pestles, here, lacer prongs, here, shafts, paddles, handles of vessels, sinkers, bows, and arrows. Traceological studies of prehistoric wooden artifacts are one of the weaker developed branches of this method. The singular studies of this type have been discussed in a few articles, some of which are included in this slide. This situation is due to many factors. First of all, prehistoric wooden artifacts are extremely rare. The second thing is that wood is a very soft organic material, which means that the post-depositional processes destroy its surface very fast. So they destroy the potential technological and user traces as well. It makes traceological analysis very often impossible. Last but not least here is that prehistoric wooden artifacts must usually be subjected to the conservation process immediately after the excavations. Its method and course are also of a key importance for the possibility of conducting traceological research. All of these make traceological analysis of wooden artifacts challenging. We would like to make this process easier thanks to the studies planned in the PARTS project. The full title of the PARTS project is Plant Raw Materials in the Life of a Middle Holocene Hunter-Gatherer Fisher Communities of the Southeastern Coast of the Baltic Sea. Project founded by the National Science Center of Poland and the Research Council of Lithuania is realized in the collaboration between the Nicolaus Copernicus University in Toruń, the Lithuanian Institute of History, and the National Museum of Lithuania. The PARTS project has two main goals: archaeological, which is contributing to a better understanding of the Stone Age hunter-gatherer communities, and the methodological, which refers to the need to develop a correct methodology for researching ancient products made of plant raw materials. At the archaeological level, the main goal is to build a comprehensive knowledge of producing and using products made of plant materials, wood and plant fibers, by hunter-gatherer-fisher communities inhabiting the eastern Baltic lowland in the Middle Holocene. We want to deepen our knowledge on the importance of the type of raw materials in the production of wooden and other plant objects, techniques and tools used to make objects from wood and plant fibers, ways of using different wooden objects and plant fiber products, the role of stone artifacts in the processing of plant materials, and the role of plant materials in the everyday life of hunter-gatherer-fisher from the Middle Holocene. From a methodological perspective, the project's main objective is to formulate the base of a methodology for the traceological analysis of wooden artifacts, which will be adopted to the unique features with particular emphasis on the research protocol aimed at interpreting the function. The research conducted in the project raises many important questions, such as: to what extent can the methods developed for the microscopic analysis of stone and bone objects be applied to wooden artifacts? And the second, what additional criteria and procedures are necessary to conduct a reliable and correct traceological analysis of prehistoric wooden artifacts? Moreover, during our research, we will analyze the significance of post-depositional and conservation processes for preserving technological and usual traces on wooden objects. The research conducted in PARTS project will include dendroarchaeological studies and macro-remain studies for plant and wood tax identification, technological analysis of wooden and plant artifacts from Šventoji, and as the third, usual analysis of the artifacts. The leader of the project from the Polish side and its coordinator is the saying these words Grzegorz Osipowicz. Dr. Gytis Piličiauskas from the Lithuanian Institute of History leads the research conducted by the Lithuanian side. However, many other scientists from various research centers are also involved in the project, the most important of whom are listed on this slide. The key aspect of the methodological studies conducted in the PARTS project is experimental research, which aims to create a reference base of technological and usual traces forming on the wooden objects necessary for the plant traceological analysis. This research will be conducted during the 2 international camps of experimental archaeology, referred to in the project as experimental archaeology research. During the first one of 1,170 experiments will be conducted to replicate various technological traces, such as those related to grinding, splitting, carving, scraping, and others. During the second experimental archaeology research, we will perform almost 500 experiments aimed at replicating traces created by using wooden objects. Additionally, the project will conduct experiments with processing plant raw materials, with the grindstone tools, and experiments with waving the cords. You can find out more about the projects on its website. Now let's return to the main topic of this presentation, namely research on the function of wooden sleeves from Šventoji. These fascinating and unique artifacts have appeared in relatively large numbers at sites in Šventoji. They consist of 2 matched halves, as you can see here, with 2 notches carved on the poles, as you can see here. The artifacts are primarily interpreted as the elements of hafting systems, sleeves for stone axles, making it possible to connect them with shafts, as you can see here. The first traceological studies of these artifacts showed the presence of smoothing and compression cracks inside the notches. Still, it is difficult to judge the origin at this research stage. Therefore, we decided to plan and conduct an experimental research program that would allow for the classification of traces of use that appeared on such objects, used for various activities, and the hafting of tools made of different types of raw materials. We started our research with experiments with a mounted stone axe similar to those found at the Šventoji sites. They showed the extraordinary usefulness of sleeves for mounting stone axes, which, in our opinion, was definitely superior to the traditional system of direct attachment in shafts. I mentioned these experiments at the previous experimental archaeology conference in Toruń. In the following research stage, we continued our experiments using sleeves for hafting tools used for woodworking. In this area, we performed the first experiments with the use of flint tranches. In the second stage of work, we have realized experiments with the use of bone tools of that type. We also conducted chiseling experiments where the sleeves were struck with a wooden hammer. Te filmiki to zrobię w jakiś sposób. Jeśli wrzuci wszystkie. The first traceological analysis carried out on the experimental sleeves led to the discovery of quite diverse usewear traces on the surface. They are dominated by various types of abrasions and crushing of wood fibers, compression traces such as cracks, as well as smoothing and polish of various characteristics. It seems that traces related to use of tools made of different raw materials generated damage of various characteristics on the sleeves. However, as mentioned in the introduction, this problem requires further in-depth research. That's all. Thank you for your attention.